Hi. When you have a repair shop and you work on other people's equipment, you have to deal with a lot of things. And one of the things you have to deal with is you have to deal with dirty circuit boards. This is a tuner board out of an IM 4006, and I think you can see it's all covered with this white dust and crud. This is how a lot of sets come in for repair. It's because of sheetrock dust and dust that filters down through the walls, and these boards need to be cleaned before we work on them. They're not usually bad enough that we would put them all in an ultrasonic cleaner and all of that, because that's a lot to do for what they are, but they do need to be cleaned up. And I'm going to show you how we have a new way to do that I think will work out well for us. One of the things I dislike having to buy when you have a repair shop, you have to buy lots of supplies. You buy cleaners, you buy alcohol wipe, you buy glues, you buy all sorts of consumable things that you need to have on hand to deal with whatever it is that you're working with. One of the things you have to buy to clean dirty circuit boards with usually is something like this: cans of compressed gas, or people call it compressed air, but it's not. It's really compressed gas because there's a refrigerant kind of compressed gas in this to give it its pressure. I don't like buying these. Nobody really wants to buy cans of air. It just seems wrong, stupid, and also somewhat wasteful. You're buying all of this metal can and this valve thing on the top and all that, and when you're done and it's empty like this one is now, you have to throw it away. Seems really wasteful, seems like a really bad idea. A couple weeks ago, I was looking at prices online, trying to find the very best price I could for a bunch of this because I hate buying it. And I ran across something that seemed like it might be a better choice. Now, when you buy these, if you buy them in lots of 12 or so at a time, you're gonna pay probably somewhere between maybe $35 and $40-ish for them. One of the problems with these also is because there is a refrigerant in this that is what gives it its pressure. If you use it for a long time, continuously, if you do this for a long time, it gets really, really cold. It's already cold down here at the bottom, colder than it is up here at the top. And as it gets cold up through the can, you lose pressure. If you want to dust something off and you want to do it continuously for a minute, it's going to get so cold that there's virtually no pressure left, and then it doesn't do a good job. Then you got to grab another one while this one warms back up. And it's just, I hate it. It's just wasteful and it's a bad thing. So I found something different when I was searching around online. I found this, and I can't tell you exactly who makes this because it really doesn't say. It says SDFM high-speed brushless motor super power turbofan. And everybody wants a super power turbofan, don't they? It got decent reviews. There wasn't a lot of reviews on it, and some of the reviews that people left didn't seem to have much to do with the product itself. You know how people are with their reviews sometimes. And it wasn't inexpensive. It was like $85, but then there was a coupon, so final price was like $58, and it was free shipping, so that's always good. And I figured, well, I'll give it a try, because, you know, it seemed like it got a pretty good idea. Came in a pretty nice little box, which is not important, but it's better than if it's in a plastic bag. Unfortunately, it's got this tape all over the box, which kind of spoils it, but the box will end up recycled anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And what you get in here is you get an owner's manual for the Super Power Turbofan. And if you look at this very carefully, it explains kind of how it works, although when you read this, it doesn't really say who makes it. There's no like manufacturer's name on this, so I don't really know. And if you read this, to some degree, it's as if the person that wrote this never ever held one of these in their hands, because it's a little disjointed, but that's what you get sometimes. The specifications on it are, we have product parameters. It's a super power turbofan, product model X3. I suppose models X1 and X2 were not entirely successful. Motor, spins high speed, 130,000 RPM, which, yes, that did get my attention in the description of the product when I saw it, because that's a heck of a lot of RPMs. Battery capacity 3,000 milliamp hours, working voltage 6 to 8.4 volts, efficiency 180 watts, theoretical endurance Now, it has 4 speeds, which they refer to as gears, as if it were a car. So in fourth gear, try a theoretical endurance, 4 hours in first gear. Now, first gear, the way I learned to drive a stick, was the lowest gear. However, the 4th gear on this is the highest speed. So I don't know. Maybe they don't have stick shifts with whoever wrote this. Product size, 143 by 93 by 39 millimeters, and it weighs 315 grams. So you can read this. This is not that complicated. It does come packed nicely inside this box. It's got this cutout foam insert thing to hold it all in place, which is an extra touch. It's kind of nice. And you get this little card. Thank you for choosing. You have a 12-month limited warranty, lifetime technical support, and there's a QR code for WhatsApp, because you can WhatsApp them questions, I suppose. You get a USB-C cable, which is the charging cable, it's USB-C at this end and it's standard USB on this end, which is kind of silly, but that's what it is. And then you have the unit itself. It is fairly heavy. It's got a good, solid, heavy feel to it. I think that it would survive a fall off the workbench many times without breaking. It's only got 2 buttons. It's got the speed button on the back, and if you push and hold this down, the LED lights come on. We have 3 lights. I guess it's 3 speeds, not 4. On the bottom, when you turn it on, there are 4, that's how I got confused about 4 speeds. There are 4 blue LEDs. Those are your charge indicators. When it's charged all the way up like this one is, you get all 4 LEDs lit up, and as you use it, it goes down and down and down. There's your USB-C connection there. And then on the front, you have the trigger. Also, it's got this nozzly thing on the front, and this is held on with magnets. It's kind of interesting that they did that way. I'm going to guess that it might be because, see, you just line up the little pins and it, watch, sticks on. You got to line it up though so it sits flat. Wait, like that. So it sits flat. I would imagine, I looked, but I didn't find any yet, that they may at some point make different attachments for this. Maybe smaller, wider, longer, I don't know. Something that's flexible would be interesting. So I think that's why that's like that. But anyway, once you turn it on, you select high speed, because that's where we're at, and you push the button, it blows. And it blows a fair amount. So that seems all great, but then, and yes, I've been using this for the last couple of weeks, and yes, I think it works pretty well. So let's take our example tuner board and see what we can do. Okay, so let's see how all of this works out. Let me show you. So the first normal step for a board like this that needs to be cleaned before I rebuild it, it needs to be vacuumed off. So I have my little shop vac that I keep here in the shop just for this, and I'm going to turn it on. It's going to get kind of noisy, but you can see how it cleans up with the vacuuming. Now, you probably can see that that's much improved. It probably got 80% of it. And also, you have to take into account that I'm trying to do this flat on the desk where you can actually see me do it, where normally I would be holding it up and vacuuming it and turning it around and all that. So it's a little more compromised because of that. But general idea, that's where the starting point is. Now, while that may seem like it's really good, in reality, it's not really quite good enough. One of the considerations is I don't like working on dirty boards, and also when we send sets back to people and they take it out of the box, we want it to look as close to brand new as we can make it. So the next step typically will be, and the next step usually happens when I pick the board up to actually rebuild it and look at it carefully and everything, is I have these little bristle brushes. These actually I got years ago at just a basic, it was sort of a cooking store, and they're pastry brushes. I used to say what kind it was, I don't remember. Anyway, I take these and you very carefully can use them. The bristles on this used to be longer. I guess I've worn them down. But you can go around and you can brush everything. And the advantage to this is that the bristles get down in between all the components, and you can brush it all off, and that's removed a lot of it. But then this is the point where the compressed air can usually comes in, because you hold it up and you compress air it and blows off all the stuff you just loosened up with the bristle brush, and like that. So we're going to turn on our new tool here, put it on high speed. Now, I don't know if you saw that or not, but when I blew inside the little can here, there was a poof of dust. And I hope that maybe you can see, if you go back and look at the before and after, this is now very, very clean. It may not be as perfectly clean as it was the day it was manufactured, but for our purposes, it's very, very clean. I also noticed there is another nice sort of byproduct of how this works, and I'm going to show you that now. Sometimes when you're working on a board and it's stubbornly dirty, or maybe it's got a little bit of corrosion from some water damage or something like that, or it's just really, really, really like gummy, sticky. You'd be surprised what boards look like when they come in sometimes. Sometimes you need to do something that's a little more to it than that, and one of the very best things to clean really bad circuit boards is use isopropyl alcohol, and I always buy it in these spray cans because it works really well for a lot of different things that we use this for. And what you do is you spray the alcohol on the board, and then you have a variety of previously used toothbrushes which work really well, and you can scrub the area on the board that needs to be cleaned really well, and then you spray it with the alcohol a little more. Alcohol is a really, really great cleaner for electronics. But when you do that, you have to let the alcohol evaporate and dry off, because you don't want to work on a wet board. One of the things I noticed about our super power turbofan is, I suppose it's because it runs at such a high speed, when you have it on for many seconds, and I'm going to turn it on now, the air that comes out of it gets increasingly warm. And I suppose that's from the heat generated by the motor that spins at 130,000 RPMs. It's a heck of a lot of RPMs. It's kind of a nice unintended feature for what we use it for, because when you clean a circuit board with alcohol and it's all wet from the alcohol, if you use this is cold, so it doesn't help evaporate the alcohol as well as if it were warm. It mostly blows it away. It does help, but it's not quite as good. This, because it's warm, helps evaporate the alcohol quicker. And I think if you watch, you can see it blew it all over the board, and then it very quickly evaporated it, because the air that comes out of the superpower turbofan is kind of warm. Let's find out how warm it actually is. This is my X-Tech EX330 multimeter. It's one of several multimeters I have. It's the only one I have that has a temperature probe that you can plug into it. So I have it set on Fahrenheit, and this is the little probe tip right here. We're going to blow the air from the super power turbofan across this and see how hot it really gets. So right now it shows it's 70 degrees here in the shop, which is about right. And I'm going to set my little timer, and we're going to run it for 1 full minute, and I may time lapse it. We'll see how it looks and see how much the temperature rises. Ready, set, go. All right, that's 1 minute. So in 1 minute, it raised the temperature almost 14 degrees. It showed 13, but it probably was 13 and change because it doesn't have decimals. So it's probably almost 14 degrees. That's a fair amount, and it's a good temperature for things like evaporating alcohol on a circuit board, which I think is great. And also, if you consider that the temperature of this, the compressed air, I don't know what that is exactly when it comes out, but we'll move the probe. There's not a lot left in this one. It's only a little bit. So we're down to 72 degrees. It would have to stabilize. But I'm going to blow this on here just for a couple of seconds and see if it goes down, because I think it will. Okay, that can ran out. It's also freezing cold here right now because it's virtually empty. So in just a few seconds, it dropped down like, I think it was like down to 62. So it dropped 8 degrees. So it's going the opposite way of what we would really want if we want to use it to evaporate alcohol off a circuit board. So what's the conclusion about our super power turbofan? Was it worth $60? I think it probably was. Time will tell. One of the things that came up in some of the reviews where I bought it from was that people complained that the batteries didn't seem to last as long as people would think they would. However, it's 3,000 milliamp hours, which is a fairly decent sized battery. You know, most of what you have in here, the handle is all batteries, and the handle does get kind of warm, so it's discharging at a fairly high wattage because you're running the motor, and that would be typical. However, you can always adjust down the speed. Now we're in gear 3, that's the low speed. So I think that's too low for what I would use it for, but I haven't really noticed much in the way of problems with how long the battery lasts. Now granted, my use for it is brief. You know, I'm probably using it for 15 or 20 seconds at a time. And also, I keep it sitting on the computer down underneath the workbench, plugged in all the time, so it's always fully charged up for the most part. And it's not like I'm using it 100 times a day. I think it was worth the $60. If it lasts me 4 months, it would be equivalent to buying a dozen of these. And if it lasts me a year, I've saved money. If it lasts me 2 years, I think I'm ahead. So I would recommend it. You can look for it. I just bought it on Amazon because everybody buys everything on Amazon. I think it's a good little tool that will come in and be useful here at the shop for many, many things that we do. And that's it. It's just sort of an off-the-cuff review of something that I think turned out to be useful. I wasn't disappointed, which lots of times you are when you buy something like this. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, and maybe for someone it will be helpful. If it is, give it a thumbs up on YouTube because that helps us just a little bit. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell, and when you click on the bell, click on it to receive all notifications. And every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.